Hey guys, Jimmy Bremner, Dexter the boy, CTOA. We're on the Urban Trail, and we're the Toronto Flood 2024 +2. And I came down here today. This little creek that we make our way into the Don, it's a confluence, so about 100 feet to my right is where it joins the Don. And this is actually right now, I'm about 15 feet above the current water level. The other day I took the video from this place exactly, and the water was above here. With that said, I came down here today to film some of the damage, and for years there used to be a huge log jam up here, and I'm talking like big trees all intertwined, shopping carts, car tires, you name it. It was jammed in there, and it would be like 3 weeks of work with chainsaws and such to break that up. And guess what? It's gone now. Totally disappeared. The other thing that happened is the wire baskets that they used to shore up the banks of this small creek here are totally destroyed. They're in the river, and this little creek is actually changed direction now. So the power of water it's absolutely fascinating. I haven't checked out the damage further down into this particular golf course, but I'm sure it's quite substantial. The other thing you have to understand is, you know, we're lucky here. Like Hurricane Hazel was sort of the last big hurricane in the 50s, late 50s that Toronto suffered through. And it did a lot of damage. But in countries where like tropical storms and things like this are a commonplace, in terms of how do you get through that, is what you have to understand is there's a lot of, you know, there's no other way of putting this, but there's a lot of human waste, because the sewers back up and it goes into these waterways, and it's not good. Okay, so even now, if you're walking, you want to make sure that you're covered, right? You know, your legs and things, so you're not possibly getting any virus, bacteria, or such into your lower legs and things like that. And it is a serious concern. Obviously, Toronto, we're pretty modern here, and we'll get it sorted out in a short time. But you can see that most of the beaches that are currently open and have been indicated as being safe are on the other side of the breakwater. They're on the far side, handling the point of Center Island. Okay, anything on the inside, it's a no-go. So you really have to consider those things. And again, I've said this over and over. We're not. When I'm in Northern Ontario and I bring these videos to you, yeah, I'll use a life straw, you know, a Grail filtering device, of water taps, I'll boil water. There's no way you're doing that in the 416. Just forget about it. Again, bad idea. So, what I did pick up the other day is a new walking stick, and I'm working on it now with my, again, Canarmor. Robert, thank you for this tracker. I'm working on it, and I'm using this draw knife part of the blade to, you know, work it down into the shape and the height that I want it, and I'll probably have that by next week sometime, and I'll show you my new walking stick. Again, this is a great, love this knife, Robert, thank you. Canarmor, Richmond Hill. All your ballistic needs, it's a great spot. Great guy. He'll help you out. But as well as my ferro rod, and you know, I have my fire building materials in the pouch here, and my sharpening stone. Another thing that I carry on the back, and you should carry, is a sewing needle. It's called a sail needle, and it's actually the eyelet is quite big, which is good because I can't see anything anymore. and the point is a little bit different. It's made for going through tough material. But what do you use for thread? Well, you can carry thread with you, and some people do that, and that's cool. But what, you know, and a lot of times I assume people kind of know what I know, and it's probably a bad assumption on my part. But when you have paracord, 550 cord, you can strip out the innards, okay? And then you get these small lines inside, right? And that's what you can use to sew with, right? Now, if you're not, you don't have paracord or something like that, this is going to sound funny, right? But in this particular pouch on this sheath here, I can carry dental floss. And dental floss is quite extraordinary because it's very, very tough. It's very tough. It has a wax coating, so it helps you as a fire starter. It actually fits through your sewing needle quite readily. And you can make that emergency repair with it, and you have it for hygiene, so you've got your multi-purpose you know, tool there. And it's a fire starter, you know, helps you with fire because it's wax coated. So, you know, the things that there's a lot of things out there that you wouldn't think you could actually use for a whole lot of stuff, but yeah, dental floss, you can do a lot of things with it. We finished with a couple things, cool tools. I haven't done the cool tool lately. This is called a 4-in-1, and it's a file, it's a RAS. You know, it does a lot of things. So if you're out and you need to sharpen a hatchet, you need to work, again, like I said, I'm building a new walking stick, I can use the RAS on that. There's just so many things I can use this for. It's small, it's compact, and not a bad thing to keep in your bag. You know, maybe, hey, did you hear that? It's a hawk. So listen, there's a hawk screeching above. And then the last thing I'm going to finish with, this is not the first time I found these down here. And it is a concern. This arrow is, you know, it's like something like you'd buy at maybe a 12, 13-year-old type of thing. But what concerns me is I find these down here, and that means that somebody is out here somewhere and they're firing off arrows, and you never know where they're going to land, right? And especially if you have, you know, your dog out, you know, is that a deer? Is that what you know, what is that? What's the motivation of that individual that's out there? It doesn't worry me too much because, again, I look at the, you know, this is a very, it's a toy, basically. Could it hurt you? 100%. So just make sure that you're watching, you know, your surroundings when you're out and about. And I was really looking forward to bringing you the big log jam, but it's totally gone. But like I said, the river has totally changed direction now. Maybe on the weekend, at a quiet time, maybe around dusk, I'll try and get into the golf course when it's closed, and we can scout out some of the damage that may have occurred down there. But you know, you always have to be vigilant. You always have to be looking after yourself. Can't expect other people to look after you. And you know, for those of you that have had flooded basements, look up something called a check valve. Okay, and they're not that expensive. The labor is probably more expensive than the valve itself, but it's a good thing to prevent your basements from flooding. So that's it. It's Jimmy Bremner, Dexter the boy, and we're on the Urban Trail 416 CTOA, and we're out.